Welcome to Touch on Air, a new podcast all about touch tennis. I know there's not much going on in the world of touch tennis in terms of live events right now, but times are isolated, things are weird. We thought it'd be a good time to kind of get this in your ears and you can listen and have some mental relief about your favorite sport, hopefully. Alongside me is Matt Gollage. For those of you that have played touch tennis, you'll know him as Gollo. We're going to roll with that. Gollo, how are you?
I'm very well, mate. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So just tell me, how did you get into touch tennis for the first time ever? Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I was kind of 2016, but you were way back.
Yeah. So we're talking. I think it was 2009, maybe 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, I played my first event at Sutton Tennis Academy, and it's quite interesting actually. I wasn't due to play it. I didn't know anything about it. Me and the boys used to just mess about and play some sponge ball on our evenings. Yeah. Just for a bit of fitness, because we used to play with back then it was like the old zig balls that you can literally bash as hard as you can and they go nowhere.
Yeah, they go nowhere. Yeah.
We used to have like 500 shot rallies and yeah, it was just a bit of a laugh. And one day I was down at the academy and there was this event on and I was like, what's going on? This looks like my thing. Yeah. And I spoke to one of the other boys that had entered and he was like, oh, I'm sure if you go and speak to this guy, and he pointed over to Rashid, maybe he'll get you in. So I went over, had a little chat, and he was like, yeah, 100% you're in, there's a space. Ended up winning my first round and I ended up having to play Rash.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but he was not happy.
Right.
Because I somehow managed to beat the greatest of all time.
In your first event?
In my first event. Yeah, in my first event. And yeah, he melted a couple of bats. A few profanities were shared. And I almost didn't get let back into another event.
Final one. First and final.
So yeah, that's where it all originated for me a long time ago. And then sort of 2012, 2013 season, I managed to get to number one. And I've been in sort of the top 10 ever since then. Doubles number one or number two or top five for quite a long time as well.
Wow, impressive stuff. I can't relate to that.
What about you then? I think I remember your first event, but so do you want to share your intro?
Well, my first event I was a spectator at just by chance. My head coach in my tennis club at the time, Ash Neves, had entered Southampton 200 that was run by Sophie Pink, and just said, "Oh, any of you boys want to come watch playing this thing called touch tennis? It looks pretty cool. I've been watching some videos." So I came along and watched, and I mean, as most people know, if you've played a touch tennis event, I don't know what it is about. It's just so addictive. So even though I was a spectator, straight away I was just like, I want to play. Like I was in jeans and shoes,
just itching to get on the court.
Yeah, I was like, I want to. Like, I'm so gutted I didn't enter in this event. And there was kind of like a murmur that this guy called Rob Burrows wasn't going to rock up. And Ash was like, you should go ask, like you could take his place. And I was like, I'm in jeans, but I don't care. Like, I want to play this.
You want to play, so
and Sophie, I remember Sophie was like, yeah, like it doesn't look like he's going to turn up, like not a problem. I was literally about to go tell Ash, like, I'm in, can't wait. And Rob Burrows walks through the door, and I was just like, oh God, okay. All right. So I ended up just watching. And yeah, I don't know what it was about it. You just come away from it. You have this buzz, you have this vibe. So literally entered the next event that was happening, which was a Mayfield 1000. And never did I think I could be in an event all day and just have so much fun. I mean,
you just don't stop, do you? You just don't stop.
You literally don't stop. The amount of Mondays that I've had where I've woken up and I've gone, I don't actually think I ate anything yesterday. Like I just played all day. Like, and it's just unbelievable. I mean, and the one thing that really grabbed me on that first event is just like the camaraderie and how people just kind of club together. Just
it's the family, isn't it? Yeah, it's the touch tennis family.
make the event what it was. I mean, like, it rained for a bit and we had a carpet court, and because the carpet court had been cleaned, it was like soap bubbles were coming up, but like everyone lumped in and was like giving it a scrub and making it, I mean, yeah, unbelievable. And then obviously that was the first event. Actually, no, it wasn't the first event I met the GOAT. He played the David Lloyd one. I remember Ash coming over and was like, this guy's coming, and apparently like he's the greatest of all time. And literally like straight away I was just like, this guy sounds deluded, like absolutely deluded. And then you meet him and you see his personality and you see him play and you're like, I want to be him. Like, it's so cool. And you know,
he's got the Grand Slams to back him up as well.
Exactly. You know, you can't argue with the guy. And then we played the event in Mayfield, and he played it too. And I can't remember who he was playing, but just a great introduction to the GOAT is he hit a smash off the top of the frame, bounced over, came back over, and then the next point he like came in to try and do it again, and the guy just absolutely tagged him in the special area, let's say. And oh yeah, it was just such a good day, and never looked back since playing that. It's just so addictive.
Yeah, I definitely think that nowadays the family aspect of it is such an integral part. At the start, I wouldn't say it wasn't welcoming. It's always been welcoming to me.
Yeah.
But through the growth of the sport, literally anyone can play it. Yeah, anyone can jump in and play. And I think that's what is so good about the tour, is that it's not just your complete elite top level tennis players. Yeah, you don't have to be up here to be a touch tennis player. Yeah, it's a complete leveler. Yeah, it's a complete leveler. So those people that maybe aren't so comfortable on the tennis court, competing with some high level people, they can compete for sure with the top touch tennis players.
I've had I mean, I gagged them, but I had set points against people like Mold, and I'd never dreamed of having set points against somebody like Mold on a tennis court.
Yeah.
Right. Same with like, you know, I've got two games in a set per set against like Mac and Eves. I know if I play him at tennis, I've played him at tennis once and he got a hot dog winner against me and beat me love and love. So like, you know, like you said, it's just a complete leveler, and it just makes it so much more fun than the traditional games we know. Right, should we get him on?
Yeah, we can get the GOAT on for sure.
We should. Oh, I feel privileged.
Let's
slightly nervous.
Well, let's welcome Rashid in now then.
Good afternoon.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on Touch on Air. I was slightly intrigued to whether you're going to come on with a Bane mask there.
I was tempted, but I'm waiting for my Batman mask to arrive.
No, you got a Batman mask as well on the way.
Well, how do you know I'm not Batman?
To be fair, I've never seen you both in the same room.
Exactly.
So yeah. Very true. How have you been over lockdown? Like, how's lockdown been treating yourself personally, touch tennis?
Well, I mean, the touch tennis family, we seem to communicate still, because I do a live most nights on the touch tennis Instagram page, once in a while on Facebook for those people that still use that platform. There's about 12 of us. So in some way we still seem to have remained connected, but it's just a shame that there's no tournaments. It kills me a little bit inside not having events.
Yeah, I mean, this must be the first time since touch tennis began that there's no tournaments for such a long period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been really tough. I mean, I think the longest we've ever gone without a tournament has probably been the best part of a couple of months for the last. We're talking here over the last 10 years. The longest will be 2 months. So I think in 2009 we had 3-month gaps between tournaments because they were all at my house, and it took 3 months of cleaning up after people like Gollage had been there.
Well, while you take us back to 2009, just let our listeners know, like, where did touch tennis begin? Like, where was the moment for you that, were you playing it but you didn't know it was touch tennis at the time, or did you just suddenly have an idea that, oh my God, there's this game that people could play and have leaps and bounds of fun with?
Okay. Here's the thing. So we're in my garden, and first of all, it's my daughter and I, and I'm just feeding a ball to her to hit. And I keep getting belted in the face or in the body by a tennis ball, and she's using a cut down wooden racket. Now, those of you that have ever played with a wooden racket, you know those strings are like spaghetti, and that ball comes at you at pace. I don't care if it's a 2-year-old. If it's this far away and you're 3 foot from somebody and they hit the ball straight up, the chances are it's going to hit you somewhere that hurts or somewhere that changes the way you look forever. And I got sick of sucking my dinner through a straw, because, she kept on knocking out my front 2 teeth. And so I thought, okay, right, let's try and find a gentler way. So I got a knife and took all the pressure out of the ball. But the problem with that then was that it didn't bounce for her. So you could only really play volleys. And the problem with volleys, a 2-year-old can't really, react quickly enough. 2.5, 3-year-old, as she was getting older, just about to start her first slam appearance. And I found these foam balls. They were called Slazenger Indoor Shortex balls. Now, bear in mind, they weren't the ones that we ended up using. They were called Shortex. So they had a sheen on them. And they were much better. And they were a bit like stress balls. And I got one of them from Wimbledon. You must have seen them there. You're there often enough.
Yeah.
And that was a lot better. But then when I left them outside in the garden and they got wet, they'd nerf, because half was wet and half wasn't. And they were still bullets. So when she spanked one, I mean, it hurt. I mean, it hurt her insofar as I gave her a right cross. But then, after child services came by, I came across these foam balls that were all foam. And they had like, that sort of spongy feel, like you would bath yourself in the shower with them. And playing this game just became so much easier. And then we got the garden decked, because up until that point, I was playing on the grass and she was on the concrete. So it was one of those gardens, where you got concrete by the house and then a little bit of lawn. And then we got the whole garden decked. So the table on its side now became an epic piece of furniture. When my friends came over, we put the ball on the table, you tapped it off with your hand or the racket, or you could pull it towards you, and you were only allowed to hit up. That was the rule. No hitting down. And it was just one of those games. I'd seen somebody playing it on a tennis court at Bollettieri Academy, where I went to the adult camps. And I just thought, this is just the most fun I've ever played. So often when I went to the tennis club to play tennis with my mates, we'd end up playing this jackass game where you were just rolling the ball off the net and doing stuff like that as the warm up. And then at the end as the warm down. And it just became more and more something I wanted to explore. And by this stage, 4 slams against my daughter that I'd won, I thought, well, I mean, there's no limit to how many of these I can win. I mean, I could probably win 20. And, you had people like Sampras on 14, at his bunny sport, but I knew I could surpass that at this man's game. And so I started inviting people over, mostly when they were drunk. So I'd invite people over New Year's Eve, just get them tanked up and destroy them in the garden. And the Masters Cup in 2002 to 3, that night, I beat Pascal Hauser, who then sponsored a tournament that you guys played in 2017. If you
I remember it. Yeah.
And I mean, I literally took him to Spanktown. It was a beautiful thing. And the rule was whoever lost had to run back to their house naked, or I had to run to his house and back naked if I lost. And there are rumors that some of the calls I made were questionable. And that where he couldn't see the shadows, I caught a ball, dropped it to my right, and then played the shot. Rumors, I mean, unsubstantiated. So far, no proof.
There's no proof.
Come out. Yeah,
cameras weren't even around then.
Yeah, and also, cameras never seem to be pointing the way I don't want them to point. They always seem to be pointing where I want them to. It's a weird thing. I don't know how that's happened. And so, that was my first Masters, one of my first 5 season-ending championships. And I just got bored of dominating my kids. And after I'd won 20 majors, I opened it up to people over the age of 5. Slightly more age appropriate it became. And sadly, scum like Gollage came along. And I met Matt at a tournament in 2009. October 2009, this kid comes up to me. He's like 18 years old. He's doing his A levels and playing.
I was only 16.
Huh?
I was only 16.
You were 18, 100%. 2009. Don't be silly. Never lost to anyone. Don't be silly. So it's just one of those things. I thought this is easy, no problem at all. I got this. He comes up to me anyway and says, "Can I play in the tournament?" Nick said to speak to you. I'm like, "Yeah, but you're gonna have to play me, and you're gonna get cuffed." He goes, "Yeah, that's fine." I was like, "Mate, you're gonna get absolutely spanked. I'm the GOAT." And he's like, "Allow," and just walked off. And I was
Sounds just like me when I was 16.
18. And I had these brand new all Wilson bats, the Federer edition ones, when I turned up to the tournament. When I left the tournament, I didn't have any of them. The dustbin had all 4 of them because they were in shards of shattered aluminium. This filthy, dirty, talentless bunny, he just hacked every ball back. Because back then, and the thing is, a lot of you Golich as, the guy with the most elegant, ripped kick serve, the most beautiful hands at the net, and he's got power on both wings that can subdue, a JCB coming at him. I mean, he hits that ball so big on both wings. But back then, it was his first match, and he'd only ever played with those scummy light foam balls that are like 8-9 grams. And so all they used to do was just slap those. So because he couldn't slap this ball and keep it in, he just blocked every ball, left and right, just blocked until I made a mistake. And I just shattered those frames. And we decided to change the rules after that to no more racket breaking. If you break a racket, you're out of the tournament. But obviously it wasn't a bad enough experience for Golich. He came back and kept coming back. He came to my house and I lost him in 3 sets. That's one of the only times. I mean, I served for the match in the 3rd set. I was 5-4 up. I'll never forget that. And yeah,
just couldn't close it out. Couldn't close it out, hey?
Yeah, but I've never gagged a match from match point up. That's one thing I'm proud of. Never gagged a match from match point up. I mean, never like, Ben Mason, giving an overhead at match point.
I knew that was going to come up at some point. Before we were recording this, I was just looking through all my results and just past the fence, kind of just reminiscing. And just that match is just so painful because 5-4, 4-5, 4-5, or 3 sudden death points to decide every set. I mean, brutal, but it's just one thing that's great about the touch tennis scoring, that even though I lost that match, the first thing I wanted to do as soon as I came off the court is just play again.
Yeah,
because you're just 1 point away from potentially, I could have a shift in 2 points. I could have lost 2 sets to love. A shift in a point, I could have won. And it was absolutely brutal. But the first thing I wanted to do as soon as I came off the court was just get straight back on there and play another match. I knew that was going to get brought up.
It was always coming.
Yeah, always.
So we touched on the intro of the sport and how you came about it, the growth of the sport. I mean, when we talk about the match that you and I played back in the day, we were still having like your regular tennis scoring. We had 2 serves. There was no lets. Talk us through how we've sort of adapted the sport, and then also the growth in terms of how many countries are now involved and where it is.
Well, actually, people like you and Jake's were one of the main reasons we changed one of the rules, which was the 2 serves.
I hated you.
Yeah, at the time, you absolutely
I hated you.
And now you get it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It didn't just get rid of my weapon, it got rid of everyone's weapon.
And you just said to me, the first thing was allow, because you were 18. You just learned that word. And I said, look, we've got Chris Eaton, Marcus Willis, we've got guys like this who are serving off a mountain. And if you allow them 2 serves, they will never, ever hold back on their first serve.
Yeah. Or second serve.
Or second serve.
We were hitting 2 first serves.
Yeah. And I said, look, that's it. We're just going to abolish it, because I thought to myself, there is no other racket sport that has 2 serves apart from tennis. Squash, badminton, table tennis, racquetball. All of these sports are 1 serve. You don't get 2. The difference being table tennis and badminton, you get lets, which you don't get obviously in other sports. But I thought that, lets don't really affect a match enough in touch tennis. Because at the time, bear in mind that the net at my house was a permanent net. So if you hit the net with a serve, it flew up and gave the receiver time rather than the server. Very occasionally you get a serve that clipped and changed direction, a bit like the nets you now see at Weybridge. And didn't realize that we'd then end up playing on Slazenger and Wilson nets where you can serve an absolute cannon. The guy's standing back 8 feet for it, hits the net and just trickles down dead. And that happens at break point or at match point. I've seen people's souls obliterated by those, and I love it. That's the thing I love about the sport. You know, it's something that brings all of us back, you know, or someone gagging an overhead at match point, you know, that sort of thing.
Twice.
Just keeps bringing me back to the game, keeps bringing me back. And so, yes, the 2 serves went. We said, no problem at all. And we tried something, Gollage will remember this well. We tried the scoring format, 3 match tie breaks. So 1st to 10.
Yeah.
And nobody liked it. And I agreed with them very quickly after trialing it. I had to trial it. It was at the October Masters in Epsom Rainbow Leisure Centre. Because if someone went 8 love up, that's it. You're not winning that set under any circumstances, right? But in touch tennis, in our game scoring, if someone wins 8 points, they're only 2 love up. And there's no guarantee that they're going to then win that set. You know,
mentally, you're still way in it.
Yeah. I mean, if I won 8 straight points against Gollage today, you tell me who's the favorite in that set. He's still the favorite by a million miles. But 8 straight points in a breaker to 10, I'm going for haymakers on every single ball from that point onwards.
Yeah.
And the chances of me not closing it out are very slim. So we abolished that. We went back to the 1st to 6 games. Again, I felt like there was something missing. And so we tried shortening it, like the pro set, to 1st to 4 games. And then with just 1 serve, sudden death at deuce was the last introduction. The last change we made was sudden death at deuce. And that made it, in my opinion, perfect in 2010. That was it. There was no need to ever change it again, I felt.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do agree with every single rule change once you've got used to it. But that initial shock of you saying, right, we're going to 1 serve, right, we're getting rid of deuce. It's just like another rule change, and that's something else that's not going to work in my favour. But
although the one that did work in your favour was the doubles rule we introduced.
Yeah, no, I can get on board with the doubles rule for sure.
What was that rule in? What was introduced?
Well, the volleyer has to be inside the service box at the start of every single point for both teams. So you don't have both teams standing at the back and just hacking.
Yeah, I remember that rule being introduced.
Because we used to have, in finals, we used to have 2-hour-long matches because nobody wanted to lose. Everyone just wanted to stay at the back and grind, and everyone was too tight to come into the net and put it away.
Yeah, that did kind of like change it. I remember as soon as that rule came in, you then had to make that snap decision of whether you are going to stay at the net or whether you're going to peg it back to the baseline but potentially get a ball to the feet, and it made it so much more interesting.
Absolutely. But also I think that from a tactical perspective, the great thing about it is that people are now learning how to volley. Because the younger generation, and when I say the younger generation, I'm talking about people probably about your age, Mason, and younger, aren't really taught to volley, and you're not taught how to transition to the net. You may learn how to volley, you know, you're there at the net and they're teaching you, right, there's, you know, a racket out and stuff like that. But nobody teaches you how to serve and volley. Nobody really teaches you how to transition well to the net off a bad ball. So, for example, you're just coming in on a bluff. But in my day, I remember kids being taught, including if I'd had the money for lessons, me being taught that. I saw those lessons going on where you'd see a ball, the guy had hit one of those looping balls, and you just half volley it into the corner like that, running behind it, directly behind the ball. And you never saw that happening in touch tennis by the tennis players. You saw non-tennis players doing stuff like that because they didn't know better. They didn't know that, you know, you should go in up the line rather than cross court. And what happens now is you get people that know that if they don't come into the net, every return is going to be going cross-court. And it's an easy return. So you're playing a guy or a girl that's not particularly good, and you're serving deuce court. You've got one person's in, your partner, is by the net. Their partner is by the net. You serve and volley. Suddenly you cut their angles down by about 70%. If you serve and stay back, all they've got to do is loop it high and get it back into play. And so I find that we're getting a lot more people serving and volleying than they used to. I mean, I love it. Becky Turner, who'd never played tennis in her life up in the Midlands, serving and volleying occasionally. I just thought that's fantastic. A skill that she wouldn't have had she just been regularly playing singles and only ever played tennis. No coach would ever have said to her, serve and volley.
No.
I mean, she's 5'3", 5'4". What coach in their right mind would say, right, I want you to hit that kicker up the tee and then run in behind it and put an inside-out volley into play? Never going to happen,
Yeah, completely agree.
So you were saying about Becky Turner and how she didn't play much tennis before she came to touch tennis. And one thing that I liked about the fact that yourself as the GOAT, and I don't want this to come across in a negative way because I don't mean this in any way, but when I was coming to my first tournament, I was coming with players like Ash Neves, Maka, who knew Ed Ellis, Haas, Golo from national tennis comps. And then all of a sudden, I think I'm going to be just going to a tour that's similar to tennis tours where I'm not going to have much fun. I'm going to get spanked, love, and I'm going to go home alone, and not have much of a great day. But all of a sudden, I go to this event. I've got obviously yourself, very charismatic, but this guy that actually is incredible at touch tennis, but wasn't a national tennis player. Is that correct if I say that? You weren't a national tennis player?
No. In Pakistan, I was ranked number 1. I mean, no one's found the record. But and also in Turkmenistan and Kazakhstan, I was number 1 in all of those countries at tennis.
You learn something new every day.
I was also the number 1 darts player in Pakistan, number 1 snooker player for 5 years, actually. Won 20 slams at snooker in Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
Anything he's not good at.
Yeah, maybe I should change my question. But what would you say that what would you put it down to, the fact that makes the game such a leveler and so addictive for players like myself?
Let me answer your last question. I mean, first of all, I thought you were going to end your question when you said, I thought I was going to turn up to tournaments and get spanked, love, and that's exactly what happened.
No, that did happen.
I don't know why you carried on after that.
But I had a great time.
You did. I like playing some of the tennis players. There have been some tennis players that I don't particularly like, and they've tried to bring their failed tennis career to touch tennis to launch a career they never had. And yet you find the greats of the game, like Fernando Gonzalez, who turn up in the right spirit. They turn up just to have a laugh.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted. We wanted to foster that. And I've tried with those who've turned up with the wrong attitude to slowly get them to accept that, no, this isn't tennis. This is just a laugh, first and foremost. And you see many of them change the way they think and approach touch tennis after that. And that was what we always tried to foster over competition and money and things like that. And that was never more evident than Belgium in 2013, 14, 15, 16, when Golic and Hassan could easily have made 200-300 euros for winning the tournament. They were at the Stella factory in Leuven until 7 o'clock in the morning instead. Now, they then sat there courtside, having been absolutely demolished and hosed in the first round.
I didn't get hosed. Haas got hosed.
Yeah, just drinking all afternoon, just getting a bit of a tan. As simple as that. I mean, that was for me was the tour there and then. That was exactly what it was meant to be. And I never wanted it to be something that could not appeal to a person like me who, in fairness, if I played tennis against Matt Golic, no matter what you put on the line for me, apart from, I don't know, maybe the well-being of my family, the odds are I couldn't get a point. It's just not possible. The physical disparity between us when it comes to technical capability can never be overlooked. It's impossible. It's the same as playing darts against somebody and me being 150 yards away from the board and him being 2, that you can't overcome that no matter how much you try. And there is no handicap system you can put in tennis that makes it fun. You can't say, all right, I'll start from 40 love. Because, you know, Jason Goodall, the commentator, I played a match against him, 40 love up in every game, and I lost 2 and 3. I mean, it may even have been 2 and 2. That's how good people that get to the top 2,000-3,000 of the world are at tennis. And for mere mortals that don't do that life, that don't play at academies throughout their childhood, they're never going to have an ability to beat those people, even in a doubles match. If you put me on court with Andre Agassi as my partner and put Golij and Hassan on court the other side, they'd still probably win because they could just target and isolate me. You know, I mean, sure, they wouldn't break Agassi's service game. It's unlikely, but they're not going to lose the match. That's the point. So we wanted to make sure that all the rules, all the environment was set up in such a way that we could all turn up and have fun. Even if you get double bageled, you should feel like you still had a chance. That's the crazy thing. Yeah,
and I totally agree with that last bit where you say, like, you know, even if you lose with that scoreline or if it's close, you definitely feel like you still have a chance. I mean, I remember one game that somehow, I'm not sure how, I had set points off Elliot Mould. And coming off, you know, as I said to Golo this earlier, like, I felt like I had a chance. But in a tennis match, I should never get that close to him, ever. He should absolutely, like, routine 2 and 2, if that, love and love. But this sport just makes it, you know, you can have that sort of mix of abilities, but the scoreline will give you something completely different. It's almost quite poetic. I love it. It's so good.
I mean, I won't bring up his name, but Phil Reynolds, I won't bring up his opponent's name, was playing a kid who plays at the Avenue. He normally coaches like 16 or 17 kids at a time for £5 an hour. But, you know, he's a decent enough tennis player, George Smith is. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no. We can cut that out. We can cut that out.
Yeah, please. Cut out George Smith's name. Don't bring up George Smith, whatever we do. Let's try and cut that out. And he lost to Phil Reynolds, who has no sight in his right eye and is about 60 years old, very grey-haired, literally a couple of months away from a free bus pass. And he was first on the list for coronavirus jabs. This guy should not, in the physical state he's in, be getting points off George Smith on a tennis court. But he absolutely humiliated him at Cirencester. Not Cirencester, where was it they played? At Swindon this summer.
Swindon, yeah.
And that's the sport in essence, you know, that, you know, tennis ability and athletic ability or youth are no guarantee of innovation on court. You need to be able to execute a game plan. Sorry, George.
Brilliant. Right, so the next really sort of exciting part that I'm dying to hear about is the GOAT brand. And where the GOAT brand is going, or where's it come from, of course, and what's the plan with the GOAT brand?
I wanted to separate. Let's put it this way. So when you buy a bag of tennis rackets, the bag doesn't say ATP on it. The rackets don't say ATP on them, or WTA, or ITF. And it doesn't say tennis ball on a tennis ball very often. I mean, it might say Wilson Tennis, but it won't say tennis ball. Hardly ever will you see tennis written on a tennis ball or on a racket. You just know it's a tennis racket. You won't see squash written on, or World Squash Association written on a squash racket. And I thought, well, we've always got touch tennis written on these rackets, and the brand touch tennis is a brand of, it's a sport and a brand, but it's not actually a maker of things. It's just the producer really officially of the ball, because, you know, we're always about make it cheap. Anyone can buy any net or make your own. Balls, we want you to buy those particular balls because we know they're not like those shocking copies that you can see on the internet using our name that are, you know, trademark violations by filthy scum. I won't mention their name. I mean, the scum of the earth, filth, copying our products. And I thought, well, actually, the one thing you do need is a racket. Now, sure, you could make your own, you could 3D print one or something, but I didn't want to just make a racket that also said touch tennis on it. So I was thinking, well, what's the brand? And people were saying, well, it's GOAT. It's that simple. You know, Steve in the States was also saying, I was like, what racket would the GOAT use? The GOAT would use the Rampage racket, because when the GOAT's on the rampage, it's literally, I'm coming at you, chip charging, half volleying. As you know, as Golage knows, a sneak attack by Rashid. I took it on his serve in Warsaw, just bang like that. I think Federer copied that term as well, didn't he?
Yeah, I knew it came from somewhere.
Yeah, he got it from me.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know what? This is the kind of racket I would use. This is the racket. And so I worked with Steve for 6 months on making this racket exactly what I want it to be, how it would be for me. And then I put, you know, my signature on it. And it's certified by Touch Tennis because it has all of the parameters that we feel you must have if you want to call a racket an official Touch Tennis racket. And those are the following. The handle must be no shorter than 13 centimeters. That's one of the rules. The racket must be no longer and no shorter than 21 inches. It must be on the button. And the string pattern can be no less than 16 by 16. So you can't make a racket with 9 by 9 and say it's a touch tennis racket. We'll just be like, well, it's not. Now, we won't stop people playing at tournaments with those. Actually, we will stop playing. I think the rule is 14 by 14 that we're going to make. You can't turn up with a racket with less strings than 14 by 14.
Those Prince rackets. Those Prince rackets were just,
I mean, they were
shredded,
weren't they? Shredding, like literally going through a ball or rally. But so those are some of the guidelines that we've got in place. And if you do that, you can write to us and have Touch Tennis logo on the inside of the racket and says Touch Tennis certified. And I'll just grab one from here and show you what I mean.
I mean, these are, I've had a sneak preview. These are a thing of beauty.
Really?
So for those that have tuned in on YouTube, you'll be able to see this. If you're not on YouTube, you're on Spotify or on Apple Music or wherever else, head over to YouTube and see this part, because these are just, look at that.
Ooh. Yeah, so what we're seeing here is a box unopened. You've got the GOAT logo on the right-hand side, and then this like all black racket with a nice white grip. Is that like a matte finish? Is that on a racket?
Oh, it's a matte finish, but it's also, rather than black, I'll bring it up to camera so you can see. It is in fact, you can see the colors there. It is gunmetal.
Wow.
It is basically an anthracite gray, an anthracite black, which is the same as a particular car manufacturer. Right. There's only one like that. And so on the inside, you can see it says Rampage there.
Yeah.
And then you've got the GOAT.
It's just unholy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and are these for sale now? Can people listening, can they go get their hands on this?
You can pre-order this right now. And unlike any other 21-inch racket, we also put here, if you give me 2 seconds, I'm going to, no, I won't. I will just zoom in a little bit there so you can see the text on the inside that tells you, and I'll read it out to you. Is right to left writing. So head size 85 square inches, length 21, string pattern 16 by 18, string it at 40 pounds of pressure, and made in China. And then these strings are done, and this grip is done in Taiwan. And this grip is the same grip as you would pay for on a £180 racket. That's embossed in the GOAT logo.
Wow. Yes.
It's exactly the same PU grip that you would get on a £180 racket. It's so premium. And then, of course, if you look there, you can see
got the logo on the bottom.
Stencil.
Yeah. That is a thing of beauty.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? It's just unbelievable to see where the sport has now gone to. We've got our own touch tennis racket, our own brand. Yeah. It's just unreal.
Yeah,
and that's the first of 3 rackets that we're launching. The second one should be ready by the end of this year. If not, it'll launch beginning of 2022. And then the third one will launch in the summer of 2022.
Wow.
So yeah, some exciting products coming out.
Yeah,
some
really
real innovation in the next ones as well.
And we've actually got a little game for you that kind of ties in quite nicely with this, actually, because with those rackets, you know, you're picturing, and you're the only person who's going to have to say this to. You can't pick yourself for what I'm about to say, because that would kind of ruin, because you would probably pick yourself on every aspect.
For everything.
I know that. Yeah, for everything.
100%.
But you obviously want
That's
the best
how
player.
humble
You want
Rashid is.
Yeah. But if we're going to make the perfect touch tennis player to use that GOAT racket, and we're going to split it into serve, forehand, backhand, net game, movement, and mental attitude, who are you picking for each category if you're picking one thing? So let's just start on the serve. Whose serve are you taking?
Matt's.
Wow. So I've actually got a list here. I've done predictions of what I think you're going to say, and I'm 1 for 1 so far. All right, forehand.
Hassan,
no doubt.
Oh wow! Would you predict that?
I go Hassan as well. Yeah, personally,
okay.
that would be mine.
I've gone. I thought your prediction. My prediction for you there was McAneves. Is there a reason you wouldn't choose? I know you love his forehand. Is there a reason why?
McAneves' forehand.
Yeah, no.
The guy went 2-love up against Roberts and then lost 8 straight games. How good a forehand can that be? I mean, the guy's a bunny. I mean, did you not see how big a forehand I hit past him? I think I hit the ball bigger than Macca. You were there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I've just remembered.
I'm sorry. I think I hit the ball bigger than Macca.
And he can't pick himself, so yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he can't pick himself. Yeah. What is it that draws you to Hass's forehand?
The variety. He can literally just cross court, just softly roll it. He can hit it heavy, high, cross court, and at any given moment, he can just pull the trigger up the line.
Forehand line.
Yeah, and it's so flat. It's not even funny. And also, although flat, because he pulls left to right, it actually goes away from you. So you just don't have a hope. I mean, there's very few times you will ever see Simon Roberts not even move for a ball, apart from when he's playing Hass. And it's just like, all right, it's a good lad.
All right, whose backhand are you choosing?
He really wants to pick his own here, doesn't he?
Yeah, you can't pick yourself. You can't pick yourself.
Yeah. It's got to be Roberts because it's utter damage limitation. But over and above that, it is by far the most destructive defense shot there is.
Yeah.
Like, try attacking that slice. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know, day before yesterday, you saw that video I posted of him hitting a slice pass past College.
Sure.
College hit an absolute rocket serve, monster inside out forehand. The ball just went past him with a slice. Line. Yeah. And College just got span,
Yeah. We had predictions of either you saying Elliot Mould or Matt Pearce for those backhands.
Elliot Mould, Matt Pearce.
Yeah. No, are we far off?
Matt Pearce's backhand? Are you kidding me? I could break it down. I've beaten him like 5 out of 6 at doubles. That tells you everything you need to know.
Who carries you?
I don't know who I carried, mate.
All right, whose net game are you choosing?
Well, that's between Miotto and Golage. Miotto simply because he always seems to pick the perfect volley for the situation, and unlike Golage, he won't do something stupid. He won't just go like that. So I'm going to go Miotto for net game. I mean, people go on about his serve. Yeah, I know his serve is amazing, but Thornley had an amazing serve. Like a massive serve. Shaq Lady had a massive serve, like beast mode serve, but they didn't have Miotto's net game. I'd go with Miotto on the net. Unless we're talking about doubles, it's a tough one. If we're talking doubles, then you can't beat Golage and Hassan.
This is the thing. I would definitely have to split it from singles to doubles. I wouldn't back myself on the singles court to have the best hands, the best volleys, but on the doubles court, it is completely different, isn't it?
Yeah. And what about the thing about the doubles court, Matt, is your read of what your partner is going to get to and not get to is also something that defines the reason why you win so many titles. Is when you were playing with Lucy that day, you had no right to win, but you kept on reading certain shots that she was going to make and that you didn't have to cover, which gave you so much less court to cover. Most people just try and hog the court. And actually what they do is they demoralize their partner. They bring their level down, and then it just becomes a slagging match where you're like, well, I had it. Well, no, you didn't. Right? It's about knowing that fine balance. So I think it's a different set of net skills.
Sure.
So what's your next one, Ben?
Movement. Whose movement are you choosing?
Oh. In some ways, I'm thinking Mikey Paling, just because how much, no, and this is a crazy one, but hear me out. He hits two hands on both sides. Do you know how much you have to move to be able to do that? Like, it's crazy, but he moves a lot. But then I look at the movement from him, you know, when we were playing spike ball, when my heel went through him. And, you know, if he had better movement, he'd have got out of the way of the heel that went through his balls. So,
he's always injured as well. So his movement's great until he's injured, and then he's injured and then he can't move.
It's a tough one because, you know, Mould's movement is insanely good.
A lot of that comes from reading the game as well. I think he reads the game so well, so his movement's so good.
Yeah. I'm going to say Marcus Willis, because he literally takes one step to every ball and makes it. And this is going to sound crazy.
As a curveball, wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
I tell you what, you saw it, Matt. How many times have you tried to hit winners past Willis?
Yeah.
He's always there.
Yeah, it doesn't happen. Yeah.
Always there. He's always there. His read is outrageous, and his movement, therefore, just is so, what's the word for it? Sort of compact. It's just like left, right, and he's always there. Just always there. I mean, it's a tough one between him and Roberts. You know, Roberts' athletic movement is insane, and you can't run him off the court. No matter what you do, you can't get him off the court. Like, he just does not run out of steam. But Willis, I mean, is just always there. He's just always there.
Yeah.
Taking that ball early. I would go with Willis.
Interesting. It's funny. I had Roberts as my prediction, but I guess with Willis as well, if he's, you know, taking less steps or just always being there over a long period of time, that's like in a match. Yeah, it's efficient. Yeah. Like, I know Roberts doesn't run out of steam, like you said, but that's efficient over a long period of time. Mental attitude, final one. Whose mental game are you choosing?
Okay, he wants to take himself, doesn't he? The amount of cages that he's put people in.
Yeah, I was good.
We're talking about the ability to come back no matter what, yeah? And just fight on and play.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it depends what you define mental attitude as, whether it's just staying calm, cool, and collected, or whether it's that ability to always believe that you can win.
I'm going to give mental attitude to you, Ben Mason. You know what? Because most people should have retired from the sport. You should never have played again after gagging against Luke May, the greatest gagger in history. You gagged against him and you came back for more. That, for me, just says either you're stupid or you've just got the best attitude to sport in the world. It's that simple.
I didn't have myself down as a prediction, funnily enough, but I will take that. I actually had Ash Neves. That was my prediction.
You had Ash Neves, did you?
Yeah.
He's a chump. He got golden bageled. Bageled. I mean, you can't put him in the mix at any given point. He should have hit a haymaker.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
just
telling you
1 point. Come on.
Yeah. If someone's 9 points past me, 9 points, the minute they go over that magical 50% barrier, I'm hitting haymakers on every ball. And one of them's going to hit the net and go drop dead.
Tip over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that is a good all-round touch tennis player for sure.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the GOAT. It wouldn't be the GOAT though, would it? Yeah. I mean, let's be real.
So we've got one more quick little game for you that we like to call Tag, Partner, and Bagel. Okay, so you've got to pick out of the three names that I'm going to give you, one person that you want to tag, one person that you'd love to partner on the doubles court, and then somebody that you really, really want to give a bagel to.
All right.
Okay. So the first name that I'm going to give you is going to be David Mokes.
Tag.
I haven't even given you the other names yet.
He just wants to tag
you got to give me three names. Sorry.
We're going to 3 names. Then we're going to have Tom Bull.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have Marcus Willis. So tag, partner, and Bagel.
Mokes ball with it.
Okay, so I know it would hurt Mokes more to bagel him.
Yeah.
So I would do that. Tom Bull. So hang on, I've said I would bagel Mokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would partner Tom Bull because he'd quite enjoy that.
So you tag him Willis.
Tag Willis straight in the face. I want touch tennis back to front on his top lip there. I want to hit the ball at him so hard.
Is that because you tried carrying him so hard against me and Lucy and you just couldn't get across the line?
Yeah, man. He's a big fella, you know. He's 6'2", 6'3". They're trying to carry him for 5 matches. It was tough.
Right, I've got one here. We're going to have Clayton Edge, George Smith, or Seth Thomas.
Okay, so Seth Thomas bagel.
Straight in there.
George Smith, I've never played with him, so I'll partner him. And Clayton, I'm just going to go for a nut shot with a tag. Just going to go straight for the jewels as hard as humanly possible. I want to know if you can put a man down with a foam ball.
I'm sure it's possible.
I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah.
Given the right
You've got to remember that no tag that I perform on Clayton will be as bad as the abuse I give George Smith throughout the match as my partner. I mean, you've got to be really mentally tough to partner me at doubles. I mean, I expect a lot from my partners. Like, I mean, I don't expect much. I'm prepared to cover 10% of the court. I'm only asking them to cover 90. I mean, and if they can't do that, I just think they're just not very good.
Right, go on. I think we've got time for one more. Go on.
One more. So we'll go James Green, Max Norman, and Emmerich.
Emmerich, I'd partner because I'd love to have a laugh with him, play with him. It'd be so much fun, and just abusing him non-stop as well.
Yeah, we gotta love the French guys.
Yeah. Now, would I tag? You said James Green, and who was the other one?
Max Norman.
Max Norman.
Who is he?
Apparently, he possesses one of the top 5 biggest serves.
When's he leaving kindergarten?
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed. Okay, so when is he going to move on from red, orange, green to touch tennis? I would probably, so James Green, I'd bagel him, just put him in his place. Tag Max Norman so hard that no matter what amount of muscle, he couldn't take it. I'd want him to just literally crumble from the tag.
Make those calves even smaller than they are.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that's most important, though, is I would tag all 3 of these people, even one of them who's my partner. They're all getting tagged at some point.
Yeah.
Everyone that I've mentioned so far is getting tagged.
Just tag your partner mid-match, just with a serve straight into the back.
Wow.
Straight to the back. When did that happen, Rash? Has that ever happened to you?
Has that happened?
Oh, very good, Dolly. Very good. Filthy scum. Filthy scum. I went into the Aussie formation, got down on one knee. It was the I formation, whatever they call it. I formation. And he just absolutely hooned it between my shoulder blades.
Too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah, so hard. Yeah, put me down. I mean, it was like, wow.
I think we were 40 love down in the game as well. And I just threw the game.
Yeah. It was the emotional damage it did more than the physical. But yeah, there was some physical scars too.
That is too good. Well, unfortunately, that's all we've got time for. But, we just want to say a massive thank you for coming on. And what a great guest to have to open up this podcast.
Yeah, it's been brilliant, hasn't it?
It's been absolutely brilliant. We look forward to eventually, whenever we can, getting on to a touch tennis court, getting back competing. I'm sure there's absolutely loads of people out there biting at the bit to try play touch tennis and actually maybe, run an event as well.
Well, as soon as this is over, this particular lockdown is over, I'm doing daily visits, morning and afternoon, from people throughout the month of April. So whoever you are, you can just book in a slot, turn up at the Touch Tennis HQ, get cuffed, get sent home.
Get to know. Love that. Well, there you go. You've heard it from the GOAT. You can, what month was that? Month of April, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm assuming this lockdown is over.
Yeah. Book a slot, get cuffed.
Go.
Perfect. Go home. What a way to finish. Thank you very much, Rashid. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're welcome. Mine too.
Cheers, Rash.
Cheers, Rash. Wow, what an opening guest.
Yeah, perfect.
Never fails to deliver, does he?
Never fails. And what a good show. Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, what an opener. What an opener indeed. I did not know that touch tennis used to have 2 serves. I never knew that. Like when that first happened to you, what was your tactic then? Did you still just go for it, or what? Like,
well, obviously, like we said, I started out hitting just 2 cannons every single time, because if you hit a double fault, it didn't really matter because I was still going to hit a cannon on the next point, and I was going to get 3 points. Yeah. So you could hit 6 cannons in a row and miss 4 of them, and still be like, well, I'm only 30 love down. Yeah, like I'm still in this because my serve is such a weapon. So yeah, I sort of adapted. I learned to hit a kick serve. Oh, I mean, I already had a kick serve on the tennis court, but I learned on the touch court, and actually it gave me a little bit more movement. It gave me more variety. Like my big cannon was literally just, I could move it into different places, hit different spots, but having the ability to maybe every now and then hit the cannon or hit the kicker or hit a kicker into tee, bouncing into someone's body, like I've got so much more variety now with what I can do. Actually, it's helped my game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make big up your head too much, but your kick serve is genuinely, as the label says, a kick serve. I mean, I've seen many serves. I mean, even myself, I can't make a ball physically land and then change direction. I've seen so many people that can make it land and almost topspin up towards the opponent, but really with touch tennis, if you've got a good returner, that doesn't help. It just gives them height to get on the ball.
Down on. Yeah,
exactly. But yours is one of the ones on the tour that genuinely, it spins into my forehand, and before I know it, I'm playing a stretch backhand slice return because it's gone the complete other direction. It's like those balls that you use as a kid that's got all those different reactable. Yeah, you might as well have served one of them at me. I've got as much chance as returning your normal serve. Yeah, wow, what a great episode. Guys, thank you so much for listening. This is going to be always available on where you're listening to it right now, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you download your podcast from. And we will look forward to speaking to you soon. See you, Golo.
Cheers, buddy. See ya.